Hi, I'm Cheetah Rivera, and you're watching On Stage Across America.
Welcome to On Stage Across America.
Broadway meets Greensboro. As the students at the Greensboro Day School in North Carolina prep for their fall show, the Drowsy Chaperone will connect the young artists with some of their musical theater idols, including one-time Drowsy Chaperone star and two-time Tony Award-winning actress Sutton Foster.
The musical, The Drowsy Chaperone, took Broadway by storm when it opened in New York in the spring of 2006.
The show, which is a Valentine to musical theater and musical theater lovers, happened to arrive on the main stand the same season as the juggernaut hit Jersey Boys and The Color Purple. And while those Jersey Boys walked away with the Best Musical statue that year, Drowsy garnered 5 of its own awards, the most of any musical that season. And now, 7 years later, to feel old, musicals being performed all over the world, both professionally and on an amateur scale.
The Greensboro Day School, a private school in Greensboro, North Carolina, will be performing the musical as their fall show at the end of the month. And as the students prepare for their production, On Stage Across America decided to connect the young performers and their director with the original stars from the show, actor Troy Britton Johnson and Tony winners Sutton Foster and Beth Level. Let's take a look. Sutton Foster, Troy Britton Johnson, and Beth Level, welcome to On Stage Across America. Thank you for coming in. I also want to say a quick hello to our folks in North Carolina. In Raleigh, we have Ruth Tutterow, Michael Jacobson, Carson Bankhead, the stars of the Greensboro Day School's production of The Drowsy Chaperone. Welcome to you guys. I want to first start the conversation up here in New York.
For having us.
I want to start the conversation off with you guys here in New York. This is a reunion of sorts for you guys. What does it feel like to be back here? You know, the show opened on Broadway in 2006. It was the little show that could. Walked away with a few Tonys, including one for you, Beth, for Best Supporting Actress in a Musical. How does it feel to be reunited?
It's awesome. I mean, I have to say that I think Drowsy Chaperone, when people ask me, what's your favorite musical you've ever done? I always say Drowsy Chaperone, because it was just so complete. Not only was it an amazing show, but it was really the ensemble of people that Casey Nicola gathered together to create the show. And so I think we all come together and we're like, hi.
And now, all these years later, the show is now playing all around the world, including in Greensboro, North Carolina, at the Greensboro Day School.
Yes.
And Ruth, Carson, and Michael, that's where you guys come in. Ruth, why The Drowsy Chaperone for your fall musical?
Well, I just loved it. I've seen it on Broadway, and I just thought it was so delightful, and I like the style of performance. I like how out there it is. A lot of kids are just getting to know themselves and aren't willing to put themselves out there in that way, and I thought it would push them. Plus, there's lots of great roles, and the music's fabulous. We're having a ball doing it.
And you have such good taste. So do I.
And Ruth, speaking of great roles, we have Carson, who's playing the role of Janet, the role Sutton originated on Broadway, and Michael, you're playing the show's narrator, the man in the chair. What are you guys enjoying most about taking on these roles? I know rehearsals are early on, so what are you enjoying the most?
I just like how meaty this role is. I haven't played a lot of roles with a lot of dialogue, and he's a narrator, so that's a lot of what he does, and he's so interesting, and he has a lot of backstory that you don't really know about, but I feel like I've gotten to know the character, and he's just a funny guy,
Yeah.
and he loves musical theater, and I can relate to him in that way, and it's really amazing.
We also
And I just
have
love the
some
enthusiasm
cheer.
that Janet brings. The show off is definitely my favorite, how I don't want to show off, but yet she's, still showing off in that sense. And I like the Bride's Lament when she has to be taken so seriously, but it's such a crazy song, and I just love her character, and it's so much fun to play already. Just after 3 days, I'm enjoying it so much.
Yeah, well, Sutton, any words of wisdom for Carson taking on the role of Janet?
Oh my goodness. I think the best piece of advice I think for anybody in the Drowsy Chaperone, playing the Drowsy Chaperone, in the play proper, is that you never to comment on any of the comedy or any of the how funny it is to play things actually very sincerely and very earnestly, because then I think things become even more funny. So that is my piece of advice to all of the players. The players. The Drowsy Chaperone.
Keeping keeping it because we are celebrating high school theater here at Onstage Across America. Let's just go around the table up here in New York. Favorite high school musical theater roles?
When I was in high school, I played Guinevere in Camelot, and that was my favorite.
Nice.
Right?
I have two. I was Dream Curly in Oklahoma
All right.
when I was 15.
Wait, what school though?
At Millbrook High School in Raleigh, North Carolina.
North Carolina connection.
That's from North Carolina too. And then when I was a senior, I played the producer in Applause.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice.
I didn't do my first musical until my senior year in high school at Broughton High School in Raleigh, North Carolina. And I did Bonnie Jean in Brigadoon. And I was, like, I love this.
You were bit by the bug. Guys, we're almost out of time, but I do want to open the floor to our high school students, Carson and Michael. Any questions for our New York folk up here, these celebrated actors of the Broadway stage?
Well, I was just wondering, like, when you guys decided that you wanted to do musical theater, and if you ever had, like, a backup plan, and what your parents thought about it.
I think I didn't decide until I was halfway through college, I think. And then I was performing at a theme park that you guys probably know called Carowinds.
Knew it.
Down on that straddles the border of North and South Carolina, and that's sort of what gave me the bug. And no, I had no backup plan whatsoever.
Oh, it worked out pretty well, right?
Yeah.
So far.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask Sutton how she prepared for the role of Janet. I know she gave us a little bit of advice earlier about like the whole ensemble, but how she prepared for Janet. Just
I'll tell you how she
individually, 'cause it's such a fun character.
Well, over the summer, before we started rehearsals for Drowsy Chaperone, Casey Nicola, our director, said, "So what can you do? What are your special tricks?" And I was like, and I was like, I don't have any really. But I actually took gymnastics lessons at Chelsea Piers so I could learn how to do like some things. And gosh, what else? I don't even know what else I did. I started playing around with like body shapes and style, and I covered my mirrors and my walls with pictures of fabulous women from the 30s, and I just kind of started practicing with how she would walk and how she would stand and how she would hold her head, and I don't know, that's probably too much information, but go for it.
You know something we did that was
No,
really
it's really
amazing
helpful. It's really great.
in Los Angeles is Casey, during rehearsals when we were discovering who we were, who Drowsy was and who Beatrice Stockwell was and all of we did these wonderful theater games, which I remember thinking, oh boy, theater games, but it was so informing, and we would take questions from each other as each other's character. Like the day I clicked into who my character was the day that you guys were sitting and treating me like Beatrice Stockwell. I walked in and they stood up and applauded, and I like bowed to the floor, and I'm like, I think I know who this person is.
Yeah, the other thing is, we actually had to come up with bios of our own characters, of who they were. And one thing, I decided that my character was a former toothpaste model, and that ended up being in the show. So there you go.
Well, on that note, thank you all for coming in, North Carolina folks. Thank you. Congratulations on the Drowsy Chaperone at the Greensboro Day School. Best of luck with the production. Thank you all, Sutton, Troy, and Beth, for coming in. And I'll see you guys soon. Thanks, guys. And if you live in or around Greensboro, North Carolina, be sure to check out the Drowsy Chaperone at the Greensboro Day School. The show runs from October 31st through November 3rd.
For more information, log on to greensboroday.org. And calling all high school performers, if you would like your theater program featured on our show, and maybe some surprises that we would bring along with that, be sure to send us an email at onstageusa@twcable.com.
And once again, we want to say break a leg, Greensboro Day School. The New York theater community is cheering you on. So that is it for this edition of Onstage Across America.
Make sure you follow us on Twitter at OnStageUSA, Playbill Blake, and F. DeLella.
So for Blake Ross and our supporting cast and crew here, we want to thank you for joining us today, and we hope to see you back on stage next month.